What I need is respect, and I need you to understand my mental state is not exactly like yours, but I can perform the same way you can perform.
Over 31 million people in the UK work. You might be at work now, or you might be at home worrying about it.
What goes through my head all the time is don't fall apart, don't fall apart. So
just like trying to keep yourself together all day.
At any one time, 1/6 of those people will have a mental illness.
For a whole 8-hour shift, you have to pretend that you're okay. You got to not let people know that you're a vulnerable person.
Attitudes in the workplace are changing, but sharing how you feel can be, well, scary. And how or if you choose to share it is your choice.
It's like every time I'm trying to make myself better, my own workplace is holding me back.
Okay, so most jobs can be hard and they can be pressured. But when does pressure become stress, and when does stress become something more? And what do you do if you're unwell?
I understand you've got a store to run, but there'd be no store without a colleague.
Question is, does your work get it?
Once you say something in the workplace, you can't unsay it, and will you be seen through that lens? So that's been a real barrier to people talking openly.
Because of a long-term mental health condition, about 300,000 people in the UK leave work in a given year.
Every time I go to work, I quickly walk up, take my coat off, take my bag and hide in the toilet, trying to prep myself.
When I met Tom, he was working in a phone shop. He's also had jobs in a cinema and a supermarket.
I've been diagnosed as suffer with clinical depression, OCD and anxiety. It feels like your life is going to end. It feels like I'm in this body, but I'm not in control of my body. So I feel totally trapped.
It's estimated that poor mental health costs the UK economy £99 billion a year. That's things like cost the NHS and sickness benefits. And it's not good for UK employers either. It costs them around £42 billion a year in sick days, recruitment costs, and people just not performing at their best. Talking about it at work is daunting, so we've been asking around. Who should you tell and how?
Usually it's been face-to-face and then occasionally.
So I approached my boss about my condition on the very first day I started working for her, which must have been quite a shock.
First approached my line manager at the fire station. The response I got from them was really good.
Usually it's been face-to-face with an email beforehand just to say I'd like to have a chat.
I used the wellbeing action plan to frame the discussion.
As I've kind of reintegrated myself into work, I've just been upfront and honest with colleagues and just said, look, this is me and this is what happens to me.
Daydreaming helps sometimes, but probably you can't daydream at work. Well, I try not to. And
You'll do it now and then.
Yeah. But some people know that like Tom stares at the middle of nowhere. And the reason I do that is because it's the only thing that stops me from having a panic attack.
In his 3 jobs, Tom has had pretty different reactions when he's spoken about his health.
I can socialise, especially in a new environment or whatever, it could take me time to feel comfortable.
Do you talk about your mental health at all at work?
My first job, I disclosed it for a couple of people and it didn't turn out very well. They were very patronising, they're very sarcastic. Basically, they kind of bullied me in so many different ways. One thing I learned from that is not to tell people unless I can trust them. Be smart.
Maybe test the water a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
See how people are not just sort of come out with it.
Yeah.
Telling colleagues is one thing, but what about your managers? Do you have to disclose a mental illness?
So when I got this second job, I was spoke to a couple of people, advised me that you don't need really, it's optional to disclose this condition. So I said, okay, I'm not going to disclose it at the beginning, but I will disclose it later on. When I did decide to disclose my situation, I got fired for not disclosing it earlier about it.
To be clear, you don't have to disclose your condition. That's your choice. But it could be necessary to, depending on the job's requirements or for getting the right support. As always, check what you're signing and get advice. And many mental health conditions are covered under the Equality Act, which is there to protect people from discrimination. Hi. Conversations can be hard, so perhaps one way to ease the pressure might be to go with a plan.
Obviously, as an individual, if you do need to kind of speak to your line manager, we try and encourage people to come up with an action plan which will capture what you need to do to keep yourself well in the workplace, what might be some early warning signs that you're starting to struggle. But what we often find is once you share it, other people then start sharing it too, and sometimes you can be a bit of a lightning rod.
What if that works negatively against you? What can you do?
All workplaces should have some approaches around, conflict across colleagues, bullying, harassment and so on. Everyone's circumstances can be quite individual, so I would recommend getting kind of specialist advice. So ACAS, the Mind legal line can give advice to people as well.
Do you think there is, I mean, it sounds like you're going to say yes, but do you think there is a problem top down?
Yeah, it is. I think it's a serious problem.
Most jobs can include an element of pressure, can have crunch points or challenging periods. What can make an organisation or a workplace quite toxic is where you have a heavy workload, you don't feel valued, you don't get developed, there's conflict with colleagues, there's a blame culture.
At the moment, things are looking up for Tom.
Now, this third current job, I had a panic attack and I walked out. So I did thought about resigning because I thought it wasn't working, but then I thought, no, I'm going to stay. Especially my management, she was very supportive. Because I told her the reason I stormed out because there's nowhere to go to have a breather. And she said, so she found me a place, she found me a secret room. No one's allowed to use it, but she gave me an access code to use it.
So it's over to you now. What's helped you feel better at work? Share your advice because you never know who it might help. In the meantime, here are some pretty great thoughts people have sent us.
Being nice to yourself and communication, that's the key.
Exercise your mind. It can be anything. You can read when you're on your lunch break.
Don't wait for people to try and read you because mental health issues don't have a face.
They never questioned my time off, never doubted that I was ill.
Take breaks. It's like, if you've got your 2 days off, take those 2 days off.
We decided to go on a run at lunchtime and it's become a thing now.
Be open with the right people. If you feel like you want to open up, open up.
Great advice. I love that. Thanks, Tom. How does it feel talking about it?
Feels good, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, but arse does hurt, though.
Yeah, this bench is knobbly.
Yeah.